Hello and welcome to my channel. I am Domina Della Pi, Mistress Sasha Storm. Today's subject matter is relating, dating, hooking up, or commitment. Are you commitment oriented? Are you solely sex oriented? Are you just operating from a position of lust? You have to make these things very clear in these times. There are many dating apps. Many people meet each other through dating sites, especially now during these times of our imprisonment at home and social distancing. We're not getting out and about as much as we would normally be doing, so we're not going out to the bar, not going to the club, not going to the restaurants, not going to the parks, just not going out as we normally would be, so that we could socialize. Socialization is very important, and so for the past approximately 20 years or so, I have actually I've always been pursued. I have never been the one to pursue. When I was younger, I did start looking at the guys that I liked and approaching them in my roundabout way with a little notes and things, cards, even flowers. But I've learned that I didn't appreciate being the one doing the chasing. It seemed odd. So I had to fall back and allow these guys to chase me, which they have done. The problem with that is I didn't realize just because you're being chased, doesn't mean that this is the correct one for you. So then I had to learn about such things as intention. What is your intention in seeking me out and pursuing me? Is your intention to collect money? Is your intention to have sex? And then is there any longevity? Do you see a long term, or it's just a flight of fancy? Are you just in and out? What is the stability? Are you offering me any stability, or are you just here to make me unstable by feeding me lines, feeding me lies, and behaving like, they call it love bombing, acting like you are interested, that you care, you're pursuing me, you're saying all the right things, you're doing all the right things, but for a very short period of time, just long enough that I fall for you. Developing feelings, emotions. Unfortunately, in some cases, this is not balanced because one person is giving more than the other. And even in communication, even in chatting, you don't really have good communication because, again, one person is putting more into it than the other. So then the question is, why would someone approach you and they don't, after the approach so hot and heavy, and then they fall back and like they're waiting for you to provide everything? This is not going to work. You're already unequally yoked. The least the other party can do is step up to the plate and do a little more to kind of even things out and balance things a bit. But unfortunately, people come with the wrong intention, with not good intentions. In fact, they pretend that they are interested in something serious, but they have no such interest because they see themselves, many guys especially, they see themselves as single. And they see themselves as being single for life. And they see that as something positive, something fun. They're having fun. They're having a good time, in and out of this pussy, that pussy. And they see all these pussies as opportunities. So there are all these women, and the guy usually with a large-sized ego, very arrogant. And he just believes in his greatness, he's a god, he's a king, he's great, and look at all these women he can get, they are all falling in line to get to him, and then they get to him and they realize, wow, what a big black hole. You can never, it's a big empty hole. it's just a hole, and you put so much into it. You keep putting everything into this hole, and this hole can never be filled, is never filled, will never be filled, and you will never be fulfilled in that union. Okay, because from the start it was already unbalanced and was never stabilized. It was never made stronger in the foundation. In fact, it was just ran into the ground because one person was very selfish. And just as people in general, oftentimes it is the women who are more into being in a relationship, in a partnership. But partnership is not only about getting together, having sex, having a baby, and buying a house. Partnership could mean so many different things, and that's where I butt heads with guys, because I work relatively well with males. The problem is when they want to cross the boundaries. It's just a matter of time before they're crossing boundaries. They're catching feelings, or perhaps feelings of lust again, not necessarily love, but they are loving all that I'm able to provide, and dreaming or fantasizing about having sex. And that's where it makes me uncomfortable, because if we have a working relationship, then let's keep it as a working relationship. And I don't want to muddy the waters. I don't want to do any cross-contamination. If you have a crush, I think it's best to keep it to yourself. Yeah, it's unless if you are very serious. But a crush really implies that it's not serious, right? So unfortunately, there's narcissism in dating and in life in general today. Unfortunately, it runs rampant. So hopefully we in these times have developed more, have grown more, have become more empowered, and have become more aware, more conscious. You cannot expect to, unless if you on both sides it is made very clear from the start that you're both just out to have fun, that you're just out to have a good time, you're just there to hook up, right? I know women who are on dating sites, and they do it so they can have a meal. Several times a week they go on a date and they get fed. They don't have any interest in anything long term, because they want to get fed daily, right? Usually a guy you're dating, he's not going to be feeding you every day. You have the date, and then you have another date tomorrow and another date the next day. So it's different men. The problem with that is the woman is often frustrated because she may or may not be having sex. Half the time she has sex, because also sometimes it's maybe she can get another date, which is another meal, and then she's exchanging sex for meals. So that's a different kind of prostitution nobody talks about. There's a karmic story I have of a young man who approached an older woman, and he did it in the most innocent, seemingly innocent way. He approached her from having seen her post on a eating health and wellness, a group where they talk about plant-based meal planning and adhering to these different ways of living and eating for your optimal health and wellness. So I joined this group, and of course I have to do modification of their menus and their lists of what can and can't be eaten, because I don't believe that any one thing is good for everyone. We're different, so I had to do a little tweaking. But anyway, he saw me here, he saw me there, and the post was very simple. It was a hummus with roasted pumpkin seeds and avocado, which is something I really, really enjoy and I have been doing for some while. Except I never thought to add roasted pumpkin seeds. And he approached me like he knew about this stuff, and he acted like that's the way he lives and that's the way he eats. And it was a lie. It was all false. He was the exact opposite of what he claimed to be, because as I watched him, I noticed he's drinking such things as soda from a can. First of all, I never drink from a can, and if I drink from a can, God forbid, it's not soda. Okay, he justified it by saying, well, this is where the plant is. In our city, we have the plant. So it's as though he's he's trying to make it look like it's a good thing he's doing by drinking cola, because he's, I guess, supporting local business, but it's a corporation, and it's actually in the black neighborhoods to rot our teeth, to leach vitamins, minerals from our bodies, our bones, and to make us sick, diabetes, all kinds of cancer, there's a high sugar content. And okay, there were other things he was doing, like I saw him smoking cigarettes. Okay, I would not smoke cigarettes in these times. He smoked cigarette, not cannabis. So then I saw him eating a bowl of cereal that came from a box, that is just laden with chemicals. So that's another thing I wouldn't eat. And other things I saw him eat and drink and smoke, and then his behavior, I actually was finding it amusing, but I also, in the back of my mind, was a little red flag. This guy has anger issues. So, while it's funny to watch him talking to his fans and followers, I wonder what it's like to be, alone with this guy in a room or a house somewhere, because he seemed to be that out of control. But there was something very magnetic about some attraction. It was so uncanny. It seemed as though we'd known each other in the past, perhaps past life we've been involved in a relationship. Like it's like the connection was ridiculously strong, like bonding, like stronger than gorilla glue. And the attraction, magnetic, electrifying. It was like sparks flying, and just drew me in. He was coming with these words and this accent and the things he was saying and the manner he said it. It's and the symbols he puts, little emojis and all of that caused me to just fall, as I never have. All these years I was minding my business and not interested in any interaction with any male. I was being very much like I'm asexual, or I've taken vow of celibacy. I'm not interested in anything sexual with anyone, and I actually am looking for friendship. I want friendship with some men because I get along with men very well, and I've had to lose all of my male friends because of one problem, and that is majority of, I don't know any guys who have hung around me and not wanted to have sex. You see, and that is where I have a real problem, because I really enjoy the company of men, but for that fatal flaw, the dick getting in the way, because I am not necessarily interested in these guys just because they're interested in me or just because they have a penis. So I really, really wanted to establish some kind of friendship. But I heard men always joking about, and angrily so it seemed, being friend zoned, how they don't appreciate being placed in the friend zone. And that was so hard for me to keep hearing repeatedly. I don't want to be friend zoned, and they have some hostility in that delivery, and it's like they really resent being placed in a friend zone. And I'm thinking, buddy, I'm such excellent company, we have such great times together, and the only thing that you cannot do with me is have sex. And there have been times when the guys refuse to listen to that, and they cross the boundaries, which is called rape. Mind you, I never got one of them charged. Okay, but in that will not happen again, because I'm in a better place. I'm on a different frequency, and that just cannot happen because I make it very clear. And if you're pursuing me, it's got to be about more than just us hanging out, smoking weed, drinking booze, And then me being so out of my mind that, okay, you offer me a massage. I love massage so much. Of course, yeah, who doesn't, right? And I trust you, right? But then you start massaging me, I fall asleep. Then next thing I know, I'm waking up because, it feels like someone is mounting me from behind, like somebody's having sex with me, but I'm supposed to be asleep. But no, I was getting massage. How did we get here? And then that's another friendship that has to end because he chose to try to stick it in me when I was asleep. I cannot trust this guy. And subsequently, there were others to follow who it was always awkward between us because of the tension, and the tension coming from their end. I was perfectly fine being their friend, but they wanted more. And so, okay, fine. So this guy approaches me and he puts the big love bombing. But I don't realize that I'm dealing with one of those, with these issues, personality disorder. And so, but once I realize that is what I'm dealing with, I'm so intrigued and I want to study it because I've come across a couple of other people who fit that profile. And it's my way of kind of observing and learning about them, because I had an episode of gaslighting from a male. And I was in shock that he did it to me when it occurred, but I also recognized that it's something that my grandmother would engage in often. And so that's where I was exposed to that. And so when it happened with someone just who approached me online, and I was like, wow, I'm attracting this energy into my life because of how what I ought to do really when I realize that someone is a narcissist is to just promptly drop them. Just drop them. Block them and mean it. Right? No contact. But because of this strong connection I felt and this bond, I was literally feeling like I was tied to this. And this person, like, I couldn't get the thoughts of the person out of my head. And not only that, but it immediately affected my body response. My genitals, my nipples would get erect, and it's sexy stuff. But it's like, how and why? Well, I have this attraction. He claimed to be attracted to me. I'm not sure about that. I don't know, because when people tell you a lie one time, you believe everything they say is a lie. So, but he certainly was pursuing me, and I was the one who kept, like, after a certain stage, I was like, oh, I see a pattern and I want to break that pattern, because it was about him coming and asking me for things, asking for money, asking for work, asking for a job. And it just seemed unbalanced that I'm always giving, and he's really not giving much back. He seems to think that this is a money tree to shake. And what I wanted was to have a man come into my life and commit to me that we grow wealth together on a solid foundation, okay, of love, of trust, of affection, of attention, of warmth, integrity, honesty, loyalty, all of those things I look for, and mutual shared interests, right? It's not just about, okay, you want to be a rapper, you're an artist, and then that's all you think about and care about, and you focus on and place all your energy into, and ignoring the fact of the balance in life, the balance that's required. So if there's something I'm doing, I always need help in things that I do. I mean, I can do things on my own, but I like to collaborate. And so the person I end up with has to be somebody who's into collaboration, especially in the arts, in gardening, in health and wellness, in food, and, caring about environmental issues, environmental impact of our living on the earth. All of those things that are interesting and I find useful and practical. People who are just focused on fighting politically, I don't have any time for that. And so we have to have things in common, and unfortunately many of the guys, they are telling lies. They're not being truthful. They're not honest about their intention. Their intentions usually are to come after an older woman for money and or sex. Okay? They want you for money. They want you for sex. So if you're an older woman and you're being pursued by younger guys, don't get it twisted. Don't think that there's any love there, because you'll find that you're pouring out cups and cups of love, and they are just taking it all in and not giving much except for a few words. But the words are not love, okay? Love is action, and you will know when you are being loved. And if you have received love in the past, when someone new shows up and they are pretending to give you love, you will know. And that is the most depressing, it'll bring you down so fast. That's why you need to know and be upfront and never guess. Ask the questions. They may lie, but that's okay. You've asked the question, and then you can see from their behavior what direction they're going. But don't allow these guys to put a lot of words in your head that are empty words and empty promises. All they want from you is money and sex. And that's how they are when they call themselves single. Many black males call themselves single because they have no intention of ever being serious with a woman. They are not serious about themselves or their lives. They just want to have a good time, just want to have fun. So it's temporary and nothing solid and nothing permanent. So they have no real stability because they are doing everything selfishly. It's all about them. It's all about me, mine, and my dick, their dick, and some women, they want more in life and from life than just a penis attached to a guy who is like a rolling boner. He's blown by the winds, here, there, and everywhere. Community peen. We need more than that. But of course, if you think that's all you have to offer and that's all you want to offer, make it very clear. Don't approach a woman as though you have intentions of longevity or permanence or actual love and commitment, stability. Don't pretend. Make it very clear, I'm just a dick, I'm just slinging dick, I'm just out to have a good time. And I think we will be all better off. But here I see a lot of guys just bitching about women all the time, and it's like the black have joined the whites, and they spend a lot of time bad-mouthing women. Of course, they are drawn to a particular type of woman. They are drawn to the women they claim to hate, but deep down they are lusting for that. But they are the values that they want to uphold, and those women lack those values. So they want to take a nice, good girl. They will even say that, and where are the good girls? And they'll get a good girl and they won't know what the hell to do with her, because all they know is about the objectification and demoralizing, to put you down, to call you names. And especially you role play and she's a slut. You picked her because you saw her dressed like a slut, and you see the way she moves that she's slutty, and she's usually the femme fatale. She's wearing the shortest skirt, the tightest, she's she's stripping, she's whoring, it's a fantasy, right? She's a fantasy. The problem with that though is a fantasy has to sometime come out of that character. It's very difficult to live 24/7 in this high femme state, except for the transgender, which is just another story entirely. For those who do, many, they place a lot of energy, time into their appearance, because it's important that they look what they believe is as a real woman. They're trying to look like a real woman, but they're doing this with so much makeup that I never see women wear as much makeup until now that transgender have appeared on the scene, and they are presenting themselves with caked on cosmetics. Okay, so that's another thing women have to be mindful of, that they don't start to paint their faces that they look like they are wearing masks. And that's what it seems the males of today, which I won't call the men, they don't seem to want real women. They want fabrications, they want dolls. And so I look at this with a bit of I'm amused by it. I can laugh. But I've cultivated this hermit kind of existence for a number of years. My whole life I've been, even if I have people in my home, when I've had people stay with me for long periods of time, I still tend to find always my own space. And because people's energies can drain me, so I've just become more discerning, and I want to be able to hang out with a man with no expectation of providing sex for him. But if it happens that sex occurs, no problem, right? But it has to be something that's natural, not something that's forced or taken or stolen, or make the girl pass out, get her so drunk and high. It doesn't take a lot to get me drunk and high. I'm very small statured. I don't weigh very much. I don't think I weigh more than 130 pounds. And so I don't have a high threshold for these substances, so I can only have a couple, one or two, and I'm out, right? So I need to be with people who are not addicted to these substances, drugs, alcohol, so that when we're doing things, interacting with each other, that we don't need to smoke a joint. We don't need to have a couple shots and a couple beers and bottles of wine. We can if we choose to, but I want to be able to be more balanced, that I can do things with you. Like in the garden, yeah, we can have a drink or a smoke and go into the garden. How about us? Because we have to eat, right? I'm very practical. If we have to eat, you have to eat, I have to eat. Unless if you're like independently wealthy and you own these restaurants, then we can get food from there. But I have to inspect that, everything is okay in your restaurant. I'm the code meister. So I'm open to being with someone who is open to being with me in the kitchen, because I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. It's very important for my health to be maintained, and that's one of the ways is by me preparing my own meals. That's one of the ways I took my health into my own hands. I used to always be at the restaurant and buying outside food, quite a connoisseur of this gourmand. But no, the food has really gone downhill in my city. We used to be a lot better, and so I just decided to do it myself, and I just see my skills improve. So I would like a guy who can match me in the kitchen. I like that. Can be in the garden with me. Who is interested in herbs, herbal remedies, herbal treatments, and a natural way of living. Going for those long walks and hikes. I love hiking. I love cycling down by the lake, riding my bike down by the lake. Very simple things. Get away from all the congestion of the city and the uncertainties and the random attacks and violence and the smell, that the assault of your nasal passages and the construction, always the noise pollution. I'm like, I've outgrown all of that, right? So that's another thing. If you're a young person, perhaps I'm not the one for you. So a lot of you young guys like to come after us older women. You call us cougars. I'm not a cougar because I don't chase young guys. They chase me, but I need them to stop, because we are not equally yoked. We are not really usually matched. Our backgrounds oftentimes are not the same. It's got to be similar. You have to have had similar experiences, because otherwise it's just too much stress trying to figure out the other person and why their mind works the way it does and why they do the things they do. Oh, they had poor role models. They had a lot of negativity in their upbringing. Some people didn't have the love, affection, attention, and care. They were neglected, they were abandoned, and they're trying to seek another mother in me. And me having no children apart from the ones I've adopted, it's quite a challenge that I don't know that I'm equipped to handle. Thank you for listening. I am Domina Della Pie. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Good day.